Jeff Kerr. CBS Sports is back as we are in the final week of the preseason here. Eagles and Jets on Friday night here on 97.3 ESPN. And Jeff has been covering the Eagles, of course, all season long. He'll be with us for 97.3 ESPN.com. Live coverage of the Eagles on Friday night begins at 6:30 with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on the call. Jeff Kerr, welcome back, man. How you been?
Doing pretty good, Mike. Congratulations, by the way. Exciting week for you, huh?
It has been quite the week, man. It has been quite. It's actually longer than that. 10 days I think I was in. By the way, I told the people there's a Eagles connection with Jamestown, New York. Do you know what it is?
Jamestown, New York. I probably won't know this on the spot, but the minute I get off the air, I'll think of this. It's
actually two, but one big one.
I really got to think about this.
All right, so here you go. I'll tell you what it is, all right?
All right. Tell me what it is so I always know.
Well, okay, there's two. The one is there's a bar in Jamestown called The Pub, and the guy who owns it was a former Eagle on the 1960 championship team. I can't remember what his name is. It's like McCusker or something to that effect. We had dinner there a couple of times, and they have all the Eagles memorabilia up in the place. The second one is head coach Nick Sirianni is from Jamestown, New York, and went to Jamestown High School.
I should have known that, too, like right off the top of my head.
I didn't know that.
I thought Nick Sirianni was from around that area.
Well, it's Jim McCusker, by the way, is the player who played for the Eagles who owns the bar called The Pub. Sirianni, so I did not know this. So I'm up there. Now, we go there, and a guy that I went to college with is from Jamestown, New York. So I reach out to the guy on Facebook. We met up the night that I got there. I haven't talked to the guy in 20 years, 25 years, I guess. I don't know. What year is it? No, it's probably 21 years. So we meet up at this pub, and he says, hey, Nick Sirianni's from Jamestown. And I said, are you kidding me? So, yeah. He is from Jamestown, New York. Apparently his brother's like the high school coach there and all this stuff. I had no idea. So let me ask you so far, Jeff Kerr, what have you thought of the job Nick Sirianni has done through 2 preseason games?
Well, this is what I think. And I've talked to a couple people on this already. John McMullen on Birds 365 was one of them. And I didn't think Nick Sirianni, I thought Nick Sirianni was putting a lot of pressure on himself for this team to show up week 1. Here's the problem. Is Nick Sirianni really making that decision? Is it Howie Roseman? Is Howie Roseman telling him not to play Jalen Hurts? Is Howie Roseman telling him
So wait a second. Are you on board with this whole Hurts conspiracy theory?
Which one? I've heard a couple of them over the last couple of days.
Well, the fact that some people think that the Eagles kind of made up this whole stomach virus and that he never even went to the hospital. They just came up with something.
That's the one Josh and I were talking about Friday. I actually think he was sick. I really do. I do think he was sick. I didn't think he was going to play that much on Thursday night. I thought he was going to play maybe 2 series or so. I was hoping the quarter, but I didn't think that was going to happen. It did seem like though they had to adjust their plans on the fly. It just sucks for the fans that were actually there. But I will say this. I do think Howie Roseman has a lot to do with who plays and who doesn't.
Well, I think Sirianni suggested that on Sunday night, did he not? That we all, this is a collaborative effort. Everything we do from the draft.
Yeah, it is pretty much what he said. It's a collaborative effort. I'm going, well, who's the one making the final decision? The guy who's making the final roster, of course, Howard Roseman. So, again, I don't know. When I watch the Chiefs, and this may be me and my love for Andy Reid and the nostalgia Andy Reid brings, but something just makes me happy seeing the starters play the entire half of a preseason game. And I just wrote a story on this. Patrick Mahomes did not have to. He does not have to play in the preseason, but you understand why. His timing with Mecole Hardman was off. He was working on staying in the pocket, not flushing out. He made a couple mistakes in that game. I guarantee you on September 12th, he doesn't make as many mistakes. And this is why Patrick Mahomes has 32 touchdown passes and no interceptions in September.
Oh, I agree. Let me ask you, though, where do you feel about these joint practices and their role? Are they suitable substitutes for preseason games?
I think they are the way they run them. I mean, it's clearly they run first team versus first team in these practices. And from everything I gathered last week, the Eagles and Patriots really how can I say it was like a 12-round boxing match in those practices. Not like they were throwing punches or anything, but you know where I'm getting at, Mike. It felt like a real game situation. And Jalen Hurts, from what I was told, was the best of the quarterbacks between him, Cam Newton, Mac Jones. Not that we're saying Cam Newton's a good quarterback here, but Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense outplayed the Patriots defense, and the Eagles defense outplayed the Patriots offense. So what fans got to see on television Thursday night wasn't what was going on during the practices. And I think it'll be the same way with the Jets this week, but I will say this. With 3 preseason games, you're not going to play a regular season game for, 17 days after 16 days because the game's Friday. So 16 days, I think you got to play your starters a bit because there's no 4th preseason game in there. And next week is pretty much all. There's no joint practices. There's no nothing. So I think you have to play your starters a little bit more with the team practices this week.
Do you anticipate that they will do that?
I don't think they will, but I'll say this, Mike. If Jalen Hurts plays a quarter, a little more than a quarter, I'll be satisfied. But I do think he should play a half. Right. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like when they – I don't agree with because Hurts didn't play that they sat the starting offensive line. Like, I don't understand why one had to, had to do with the other.
Yeah, I don't get that either. Like, why wouldn't you just let Joe Flacco kind of play with the first team and say, you know what, Joe, here you go. Just go play. Like, I get why Brandon Brooks plays the series and he's out. Makes sense. Lane Johnson, coming off the injury, I get it. But Jordan Mailata needs to sit? Really? Like, Jason Kelce, I get. Some of the guys on the defensive line I get, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't know why the whole first team offensive line just can't play a couple series, Mike. It's really frustrating. Although I will say this, I'm glad Miles Sanders did get in. I was excited for that.
Yeah, let me ask you about the wide receiving situation and kind of get your overview of Fulgham, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Quez Watkins, like that group that's kind of fighting right now at the bottom half of the wide receiver room.
I'm a little worried Travis Fulgham's going to make this team. I really am. I put his stock down on Friday. The guy played 13 snaps, played mostly on special teams. Not good, Mike. That is not good at all. Like, he's battling for a roster spot instead of being a roster lock, which we all thought was going to be the case 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Now you have to wonder who's more valuable, him, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside on special teams? I mean, Arcega-Whiteside has more upside on special teams. He's played special teams. And Fulgham, I don't know. It just seems like he's all bark and no bite at this point.
Very frustrating because, we saw that 4-game, 4-game little sample size from him, and we thought maybe getting a wide receiver coach to kind of get his hands on him. Same with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. We thought that maybe getting Sirianni here would pull out the best in him. It doesn't seem that that's happening. But is it happening for any of the guys or any of these guys that we saw last year improved?
Well, Quez Watkins is one, obviously. I think Jalen Reagor has improved, and from all accounts, from what I was told, he has improved. So there's 2 you got to look at. Obviously, Devonta Smith. Greg Ward, I think, will always be Greg Ward, but still, even if he improves a little bit, I still think they need to have a veteran in there. I think we were all banking on, though, what's Nick Sirianni and Aaron Moorhead going to do with Travis Fulgham,
right,
with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. But, again, you got to give them credit for Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins, especially if they're going to be vital parts of your offense.
Hey, let me get your thoughts on Gannon and the defense. Do they need to show more, or are you not concerned yet with what we've seen? 35 points against the Patriots in the preseason. They played well against Pittsburgh, but were you concerned at all with what you saw Thursday night?
I'm not, no, because the defensive line didn't even play. The linebackers showed up. I mean, Eric Wilson had a good game. Alex Singleton had a good game. DJ Edwards had a good game. I'm really impressed with the linebackers in the secondary. I mean, no Steven Nelson. I think Steven Nelson didn't play. It's been a while. I know Darius Slay didn't play. But overall, no. I thought they played well against the Steelers. No, Steven Nelson did play in that game. My mistake. So, but again.
Not much.
Yeah, not much. Exactly. That's how little it was. So I'm not too concerned about it. I don't really think the defense needs to play on third. Honestly, Mike, the only one I really want to see play is Jalen Hurts because he is your quarterback. I don't want this kid rusty in his first game unless the Eagles are trying to sabotage his entire career before it even starts.
Mm-hmm. Andre Dillard, obviously still hurt, not ready to play, but team possibly taking calls there. Do you think there's anything to that?
I think he has some value because, let's face it, Mike, this is a left tackle deficient league. This is an offensive line deficient league. As bad as Matt Pryor looked Thursday night, some team will give the Eagles a draft pick for Matt Pryor. It won't be much, but it will be something. And I think the same thing would happen with Andre Dillard. Now, don't expect like a 3rd or 4th round pick, but you can probably get a 5th for Andre Dillard. Here's the thing: if I'm the Eagles, though, I wouldn't want to give him up. I would want to keep him as backup to Jordan Mailata and keep developing him, and just tell Andre Dillard, hey, look, this year is another year of development for you. Get it? You're frustrated. You lost out on the job, but maybe he can become something. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I think they're better off holding on to him than they are getting rid of him.
All right, Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. What's going on with Carson Wentz and that whole situation down in Indianapolis? Give us a little overview of what's happening with Wentz and the Colts.
So this is so weird with Indianapolis. It basically went from Carson Wentz was out 5 to 12 weeks, and then it progressed, obviously, to 2 weeks. So it was like 2 to 8 weeks because, it was 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're following the same timetable. And, yeah, there was the outside chance he could be ready for week 1. I personally think they're rushing him. All of a sudden, he's back on the practice field today. And they announced it yesterday. He was going to come back on the practice field. And Zach Pascal said he looked great. I'm like, did you see him out there? That's pretty much what he said. And same thing with Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle was raving about it, how great he looked. And I'm like, guys, he was just out for, individual period. And I get it. Wentz feels he's going to be ready for week 1. Frank Reich feels he's going to be ready for week 1. It looks like he is going to play week 1. I mean, it really does. We do seem to forget. As much as I think they're rushing it, he does have 20 days. So he does have time. I think they should give him another week, starting week 2. I know Eagles fans don't want to hear that, obviously, with the draft pick implications, but I don't know. It just seems like they're really trying to rush this again, and it feels like 28.
Well, if any quarterback situation in the NFL, that would be one where the drop-off from starter, we think anyway, we don't know what Wentz you're going to get. The backup situation there is a mess.
It's gruesome. Sam Ehlinger was terrible on Saturday night. Jacob Eason actually looks like he could run that team, but he's not Carson Wentz. And I don't know, Mike. I think that's why they're rushing him back. I think they know
exactly
there's no options available.
Agree. What's going on in Denver at quarterback?
Well, it does look like Teddy Bridgewater has the edge over Drew Lock, and I think Vic Fangio is going to name that starter sooner rather than later. He might even name it tonight or tomorrow, but it does look like Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starter over Drew Lock, even though a lot of people there like Drew Lock. Teddy Bridgewater is just – he's flat out outplayed him, and they gave up draft capital for him, and I think Bridgewater at the very least gives them a chance to win. I don't think he's that much of an upgrade, I'll say that, but – he's better than Drew Lock. Drew Lock has been one of the worst quarterbacks in football last year, and I think he's improved, but not significantly. He worked with Peyton Manning in the offseason. To me, though, it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. The Broncos really should have tried to get Aaron Rodgers.
There you go. What about what's happening in New Orleans?
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out a little bit more tonight. Now, Sean Payton did say he wants to name a guy by Saturday. And I'm not even sure who's going to start tonight. That's why I'm really intrigued about this game. Will it be Winston? Will it be Hill? I think because of the lack of receivers, I think they should run the ball a lot more, and I think Taysom Hill will help them with that. And they have had varying degrees of success with Taysom Hill last year. Their only loss was the Eagles game, and that kind of shell-shocked them. Taysom Hill played well in his 4 starts. I mean, he wasn't spectacular, but he wasn't terrible either. I don't think he's the future there, but I think for 2021 – he's good enough. If they have better receivers, I would go with Jameis Winston. But for what they should do and the lack of weapons they have on the outside, I would go with Taysom Hill.
By the way, just moments ago, the Raiders released Rasul Douglas. Would you have any interest in bringing him back? Is he a fit?
I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't think he does that well in man. I mean, obviously, we learned that over the years. So maybe back in his own scheme as a veteran cornerback option. I think he's going to sign somewhere, obviously. Yeah. I don't know. I thought he played pretty decent with Carolina last year. I think Eagles fans overhyped him a bit because he wasn't as good as he was in 2017.
Well, he was one of those guys that would play. He'd make a play here and there, but then when anybody got hurt and he had to play extended minute. Look, I love Douglas. He's a West Virginia guy, but you can't start him. He's one of them guys that can play a week.
Yeah, exactly. If you need a guy to fill in, he's your guy. I think he'd be good cornerback depth there, but it does seem like they really like Josiah Scott and Craig James. It seems like they're going to be the two.
Hey, what'd you think of McPherson the other night?
I didn't think he was that bad. I actually liked the trial by fire. He did get beat a lot, obviously. The Patriots picked on him, but I like how they put him at outside cornerback. I like how he got those valuable reps. And look, this was kind of like Leo Shepard and Sheldon Brown, their first preseason. They got beat a lot in 2002. They ended up being pretty decent cornerbacks. I'm not saying that, McPherson's going to be them. I don't think you should rely on a fourth-round pick to be your starting quarterback. That's why you got Steven Nelson in there. But I don't think McPherson's honestly going to play much this year. I think this year's going to be a developmental year for him. These preseason reps are valuable.
I just thought, and the one thing that I took was, hey, the guy will come up and tackle you, right? He's a physical guy that will come up and tackle. They needed him to tackle the other night the way their defensive front played in that game. All right, so Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. Give me, obviously we'll have a couple more times to talk before they play on Friday night, and we'll find out more, I guess, if these guys will play. What about the running back situation? We haven't seen a whole heck of a lot there. How's that shaking out in your mind?
Well, Kenny Gainwell's stock is really going up, and I didn't put him in my stock up or stock down, even though I probably should have, because his stock is going up. I honestly think Kenny Gainwell has an excellent chance to be the number 2 running back on this team. And Boston Scott still has the edge, but Gainwell, he looked really good in that preseason game on Thursday night. He was catching the football. They were saying he has the best hands on the team, and I can't disagree with that. He could be like the Nyheim Hines in this offense, which would be very beneficial for the Eagles. So, right. I'm pretty high on Gainwell right now. All
right, Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. Eagles Friday night against the Jets, final preseason game. And you can hear that game here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll have plenty more coverage of this Eagles offseason, getting ready for the season. And then, of course, the opener, September 12th, right here on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff Kerr with us all season long here on the Sports Bash. All right, Jeff, take care, pal.
Yep, sounds great. Great to have you back, Mike.
Good to see you too, man. All right, Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. He'll be back on Wednesday's show. We'll talk to him then. And, of course, between now and then, we got plenty more Eagles and NFL. Phillies are back tomorrow against the Rays. We'll have plenty on that series coming up on tomorrow's show. Pete Thompson for a Tuesday with Thompson is back tomorrow. Also, Rob Motti will talk a little NFL and Eagles with us all season long on Tuesdays and Thursdays.